Hello and welcome here, everyone, to the Indiana Esports Network. I'm very excited to be here with some Minecraft Bed Wars action. My name is Orbital. With me is Zobi, and we'll be your casters here on the day. Very, very excited. Zobi, how you doing today?
I'm excited. We've moved on from the group stage into the playoffs where things get serious, right? We talked about it last time we covered Bed Wars, how, it's just for seeding during the group stage. But now elimination is on the line. We're only the top two teams of each step of the bracket, or each match of the bracket, I should say, will move on. But Orbital, which teams are we covering today?
We're covering quite a few. We got three amazing squads lined up for us here today. It is going to be William Henry Harrison. We got NNHS Minecraft Varsity, or the Spartans, for those that may know them a little bit better, and then Fairfield Minecraft. All three will be giving out, hopefully, some pretty nice times here with three maps on the board, same team that we've seen all the time. Also, big shout out to our three sponsors, which we'll get into a little bit later. Zotac, Landfest, as well as LOS Portal, as we said. We'll talk about them a little bit later, but normally, Zobi, we are watching the four duke it out. I mean, more people have an understanding of the four. With three, obviously, we've seen a little bit of a format change, so keep in mind, to those that are tuning in, three is a little bit different. You got two starting out on the side, one in the center, and then things get a little bit hectic from there.
Yeah, I think that's been my greatest appreciation point for the Indiana Esports Network is they're listening to the players, they're listening to the talent, they're adapting these newer game titles and the esports format as the game evolves when they realize that gameplay is getting stale, when they realize it's not playing out how they want it to at the highest level of competition. And Bed Wars is one of those in particular. It's a great segue as well to discuss what our scoring structure now is. It used to be just ties left, right, and center. If you survived, you got the maximum points. Now it's going to be that you get 1 point for each final kill. You get 5 points for a bed destroyed, and if you win, aka you've eliminated every other player on every other team, then you get 3 points. So you can't just idly turtle on your base, or you will get possibly 0 points for that match.
And that's always rough because as you get zeroed out, remember, as we mentioned, top two make it in. Now, granted, that does mean that the top two can play for safety after, I would say, game two if they feel comfortable with it. But it also means whoever's at the bottom is going to be fighting as hard as possible. And remember, as you mentioned, those final kills, the fact that the kills do not matter until the bed is broken means a team is immediately going to ramp up to 5 points at the start. And it is brutal to think about. A 5-point gap at the start is ridiculously tough to overcome, I think.
I'll agree. And usually you're getting like a final kill, maybe two as well, when a bed's getting broken, if you think about players away from their base, away from their island. But what I have seen, and especially last time we covered Bed Wars, was that if you sneak in and clean up a team at the same time the bed's getting broken, you can steal away a lot of those points, right? 4 players per team. That's 4 points to their 5. Suddenly you're first and second place. And like we said, the top 2 out of whether 3 or 4 do move on to the quarterfinals next week of Bed Wars. But another thing to discuss, because we kind of mentioned how close these points can get, is that there are tiebreakers in play, right? We're not going to have, all 3 teams able to move on if they have the same number of points. The way it works, if you have the same number of points, is that the first tiebreaker goes to map wins. So if you had the most points for these 3 maps of Undergrowth, Savoy, and Riptide, then you would be the one moving on. If you had the highest number of bed breaks, and that's your second place tiebreaker. So if if each team won 1 map and you're tied with a map, you move on to bed breaks. Third is total final kills, and fourth is head-to-head sudden death. If you make it all the way to 4th, that's just insane, and you guys are like level. That's why you just gotta replay it. I mean, what can I say?
that would be the most impressive part, I think. Like, at that point, then you already know it's just like, hey, if it's the second and third, I get it. If it's the first and second, just shake hands. Like, you have pulled off something immaculate right there. And especially with only 3, I highly doubt we are going to get to that point. But there is always a possibility. But I love the fact, as you mentioned, the tiebreakers, I think, are going to play a pretty hefty role. Again, with only 3 teams in there, if everyone wins a map on technicalities, you can get pretty spicy with these ties. But at the same time, as we mentioned, with the team starting in the center, one of these teams each round is going to start at a deficit to anyone's understanding. Is there any benefit to starting in the center, Zobi? Is there any benefit to actually being in that center to start off and be basically pinned between 2 rocks coming at you?
I'm trying to think about it, and I really don't see one, and that's exactly why they implemented this change of, okay, each team needs to be in that hot seat. Because, right, like if you're one of the islands that is next to the deserted island, that's extra resources. That's one less player gunning for you, right? Like, I don't know. I guess like maybe you can like if you like cross team with someone, you can like target the opposition. It's like some teams like to target the one directly across from them if they bridge to mid and then to an island so that they don't have a direct route to their island. But it really just depends then on the three teams that we have competing today. Reminder, those are William Henry Harrison, NNHS Minecraft Varsity or the Spartans, and Fairfield Minecraft, and how they like to play. Because we've seen very different strategies already. PvP masters, we've seen defensive masters of both spam, and then we've seen just like the sneakiest spies that are able to get behind these bed defenses and break them without you even realizing that they were there.
And again, when it's worth 5 points, if you watch another team duke it out on one side, hey, you can sneak around. I mean, if you're playing the rat style, you could end up with 10 points very, very quickly if you pull it off perfectly. If you see two teams fighting, hey, maybe sneak in, get both beds, and all of a sudden, things go right. You get a 10-point gap, and there's almost no way for the opponent to be able to come back and take that lead. So I love the fact that you mentioned, hey, what strategy are we going to play for? Are we going to play for an aggressive 5 or 6? Are we going to play for a comfortable 3 and look towards that end? At the same time, there's so much to think about as we are headed into round 1 of 3. We got it on the board. William Henry, Fairfield, as well as NNHS. And already William Henry here in the red to kick things off.
And we are going to point out as well, guys, unlike previous weeks, you are going to see the colors change when there are 3 teams. And that is, again, just because it's how you determine which team is in the center. So make sure to keep an eye on that between maps. But first and foremost, starting out here on Undergrowth. And this is something else we can talk about, is the dynamic between maps, right? And I'm already seeing a change, I think, in momentum for this match in comparison to other teams we've spectated. I see no bridging, I was going to say, to mid off the bat, and I'm loving that we're finally getting the team going. Yellow, little speed red action going forward, joining up with another teammate here, so it's some duo synergy. Green has its very different approach, though. Expand your reach early to both side and mid, have the double defenders on your island. This is looking good.
I actually really like this. Again, going for an aggressive start, you assume that a team might be playing a little bit slower, and you went straight to that side. Go ahead and start gathering up the resources as quickly as possible. So I can appreciate this one. Now a build in as well. So both William Henry as well as NNHS meeting up here, and they are going to try and converge here, kind of sprinting in. Remember, that base rotation isn't perfect, but what a great snipe coming out. William Henry able to pop a sneak attack and take out too.
Oh, and if that player had not retreated from mid, recognized the Spartans' assault, that could have gotten dicey. I mean, one player already knocked off. You would have had 2 alive. And that's your one team that isn't existing. Blue bed destroyed doesn't count for points because there's no blue team. But this is a good indication as well, if we can get maybe a bird's eye view of who is our middle team in this situation. And I want to say it's not green, obviously, and it is going to be yellow, actually. So the fact that yellow was trying to get ahead is exactly because they are that center island. They recognize that they're going to be under pressure as soon as these bridges are complete, and that's why they may have, not gotten the opportunity they wanted early on without breaking that red bed.
I also like they went with a more second story build as well for the bridge. It's a little bit different because, I mean, you can buy a little bit extra time with it. I think most other island builds have already gone down below. So yeah, you can defend a little bit easier. There's no way to drop on top either. So this vertical build is still going to feel very, very comfortable unless William Henry wished to involve a few more resources here. And you can even see Derpy just like, what are you going to do? Like, how are we going to challenge us? What are we going to do right now? As Green is off on the side like, hey, what's up, guys?
This feels like a stalemate. They're all just spectating, observing, gathering intel. And another point here as to why this bridge is on the higher level is because this is where the emerald generators are. And you saw Green just try to be this bystander because they just want to farm the resources and get out. And NHS is having none of this. The Spartans trying to steal those resources back here. Byzantine Wolf just running for the hills. It's probably going to get knocked off the map, and all those resources are going to go with them into the void. But the last thing I wanted to point out here, Orbital, is that their bridge being as high as it is, you're going to take immense fall damage trying to attack their island. And, I mean, yes, they're susceptible to maybe a TNT drop from above, but I think that's the trade-off they've calculated here.
Already Fairfield. Remember, they sent someone just as a scout, lost their scout as well, and they're going to comfortably sit here. They went ahead, bottled up. I think that's 3 layers so far. Feels pretty comfortable for them. Not terrible. And You still get to spread out to that right side. You still have another one hopping up and down on this top side. As you said, the Emerald generators are going to be real nice. Hellfire, unfortunately, fell out of the world. So William Henry, not real happy about that one. But another build out here. So this is going to be two-side advantage. This is going to be Fairfield trying to go for two different generators. And this one hasn't been touched. Huge gain for Fairfield.
And that's, again, what I mentioned when you aren't that center island. And so it's kind of like this idea, right, of like, okay, well, red team gets one. Or sorry, I should say, wait, it's yellow team in the middle. Sorry. So green gets one and red should have gotten one. But red didn't take the extra diamond generator. Instead, they just took their own. And I think that's a massively untapped network here. And yellow, I'm glad to see that they are faring very well. And I think this is smart as well, focusing purely on defense and keeping your control over mid, because then it's preventing, you know, Fairfield or William Henry Harrison from going on the offensive against you when you are that center island. I mean, you don't want to give those resources to them. They're going for the island. Derpy derp PvP.
Oh, wait.
Oh, my God.
Wait.
What did I say about sneak spies?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Already, are we going to see Fairfield lose out?
No.
All right, great blind out. You punch him. Do you get a block up in time? You're spinning. You win the fight. You're going to try and break it in time, but no. You got through 2 layers, but there were 1 too many. You were about 2 layers off. That was close.
And that's where I'm not going to lie to you. What I personally would do is collect some of the enemy wool. Like, start farming the green wool, save it up. Then you box yourself in with their own wool color, and they would never know the difference. Because they saw that yellow, and they're like, wait, something's not adding up here. And they realize that somebody is in their bed and take care of it. But it's showing, okay, and NNHS isn't under the pressure that we thought they would be, being that center island. And it is making me nervous that, like, okay, William Henry Harrison going for the turtle strat. Fairfield hasn't really gone aggressive. They've also been that bystander effect. I'm surprised NNHS is the one that's going offensive here.
I love that they are, though. But it is going to be that gamble state.
Wait a minute.
This is going to be a little bit of an awkward build. We got a little bit of red headed up, and then we got a side out build as well. So there are options to get a little bit silly here, if you wish. If you're looking at William Henry, they had 2 options to attack on the Spartan side. Fairfield for their own, though. Again, boxing up, making sure they're going to be real comfortable in this setup. And you see that they're just like, how are we actually going to aggress this? Byzantine Wolf going to head back towards middle, look for a chance as we do get the tier 2 diamond generators. So a little bit more econ to start flowing into this game.
Yeah, and all that'll get you is kind of island upgrades to your generator, protection, armor. It'll basically allow you to withstand fights a lot faster, or I should say for a lot longer. But speaking of fights, NNHS has just been the ones taking brawls left, right, and center. Again, trying to stay atop of the disadvantage they were set in stone for this first map. This time, though, nobody not seeming to be able to track this green player down just yet. And I think green is doing a good job robbing these resources away. And we talked about how well developed their bed defense is. I think they're trying to get obsidian early on, but all those emeralds that are already few and in between have been given to the void.
Hurts a little bit. I mean, you never feel good. Like getting knocked off when you're on a resource run. There we go. This build out, though, and I love, as I mentioned before, this side build action here can get a pretty nice old chunk. You're going ahead and ramping up. That way you can look at maybe a little bit of an archer build as well. But it is that layer of, okay, how can I play this cleanly without really getting caught here? You're doing a 2-layer. That way you have a little bit extra safety in there as well. How much time are you going to put here? You put 2 resource groups here? You put both Absinthe as well as Hellfire, and this can get very, very dangerous, both looking for vertical and horizontal access. But that's going to be the arrow, and you're knocked off. Hellfire gone, and not long for this world. A little bit of attack by the Spartans on the back end as Derpy tries to do some work, but Derpy is not going to find it. Unfortunately, that is not going to be the great time for the Spartans.
Yeah, so there's 2 things here to point out. One, the bow spam. I said it was going to be a potential strategy, and that's what's preventing these side islands from being developed. Point taken there from Absinthe, obviously, right out the gate. And that's why they're trying to build these side islands, right? They're trying to, again, prevent that. So they have these direct access routes. And now my kind of praise for their high bridge has been neutralized by their water defense, right? You just drop down to the water, no fall damage. It's a lot easier to assault, which is why Red is so happy to bridge high up. And again, get many direct routes so you can have multiple attack points, and then you don't know where to aim if you are this bow defender.
Yeah, triple on top as well. This is going to be comfortable for this group, for the Spartans. And so we're looking at Fairfield and William Henry. Are they going to find any extra here? Fairfield playing through the center along those leaves here. At this point, you're just, again, on that resource run. Side bridges out, no direct route here, so Fairfield very comfortable with their status, but finally see William Henry actually looking at the other side of the aggression. Middle bridge is blown up ever so slightly, but that base is getting even harsher. Love that little glass block in front, making sure that a direct approach is going to be a little bit harder to make.
I think that's just a stylistic element.
No, I'm giving it defensive purposes. We give everything.
What is its defensive purpose? You're gonna have a person just stand up there, not get bowed, because all the glass does is it's TNT proof. That's it,
yep.
Right? Like it's expensive for that reason, which is showing okay they're rolling in the resources of farming this blue island, right? That's their flex, is that pillar of glass, right? Look at all these resources left unmanned, and you can see them consistently going over to collect them. Green had a early attempt at that, but like they've also just kind of like been trading off who gets those resources and who doesn't. Fairfield and like William Henry Harrison have like a truce almost, it feels like, right? And it's just red and yellow going like at each other tooth and nail.
And for right now, we're seeing that dance. I think we did see someone be able to drop down. That's why I think we just saw two Spartans actually had to jump by. Yeah, so there were two on top of the Spartan side. I don't know how they got there, but it looks like they had a little bit of tough time. Yeah, both Abesthine. I said absinthe last time. I think it's Abesthine, unless they mistyped. But either way,
we'll find out.
Yeah, William Henry sent for a little bit of a gamble once again, and we're not able to find anything. 10 minutes remaining, so we're about halfway through this game.
Yeah, I think we've definitely seen, again, I think Yellow had two really early strong assaults. And speaking of strong assaults, this is something we never get to see, is the use of these emeralds for an advantage. Ender Pearls in, this is what they were saving the emeralds for, an offensive assault. I want to say those are strength pots going in because they are trying to 2v3 the entire red team. And unfortunately, both are going to fall, and all that investment goes out the window, not even denting William Henry Harrison and their fortress they have built around their island.
I wonder if you thought you saw one of William Henry actually sprint out to the side. Maybe you were hoping that continued aggression. We saw how hard William Henry were actually pushing. Maybe they were hoping there were one less member. If it were 2v2, might have been completely different. But instead, you ran into three, you got bodied, and it was really well played. Very, very well done by the side of the Spartans. And yet again, we're still waiting here. Fairfield have complete defensive prep on the direct side of the bed. No extra fortifications, just straight up, we defend the bed.
I think I just saw diamond armor as well. So I talked about how I thought the emeralds were being pooled for obsidian, but instead they're strengthening individuals here. Maybe they're going to go on the offensive in the late stages of this map. I've seen, last 30-second, last few minute bed breaks. And that's what seems like Red is gambling on. 3 players leaving the island is bold, to say the least here. And they are trying to dive in for an assault from multiple directions. I think the player bridging up here towards mid is going to come from the front. And then this is what I talked about, that 3-bridge approach. You don't know where to look.
It's a hard one, and they're calling everyone back. Take a look at this. Not even 3-bridge. It's straight from middle as well. They're going to go ahead and look for a little bit of aggression, get into the jungle path, and go high. Go very, very high as well. And now you get to wait a little bit. Where's Fairfield during all of this? That's what I'm curious about. One entering in. TNT down. Breaks through the top. Is it going to be enough, though? You break open, you see the water. Slaying on the top side, though, as that is going to be Abesthine taking one for the team. But now you chase a little bit further to another kick, and you punt them down. Multiple fall damage deaths, and that's going to be a problem right now. Spartans going ahead and showing their wits here. The quick respawn timers causing problems for William Henry, as there's only one left, and they're like, I'm stuck, guys. I really don't have that much to do.
And you talked about the pillar on the red tower. Well, this is their pillar, and this one did have strategic advantage. It was just to buy time until the rest of the troops could re-rally and re-exit this site. This is why I want to see Fairfield going for red right now. But regardless, they're getting their attempt here. And I talked about how that water was kind of a death sentence in terms of the fall damage. They covered it up, but it's still there to give that defensive aid. And all they're doing here is, again, trying to find these kills, trying to keep them distracted. And I'm worried that the longer William Henry Harrison spends here, the more their island's going to be open to threats. And we'll see if that comes true later down the line, foreshadowing, or if William Henry Harrison can finally dent this yellow team.
Oh, wait, they dug in. They dug in. They got knocked down. They're in. Are they going to get more? No, Jeepers. Jeepers tried so hard and broke almost to the glass. And then the end. So, oh, my God, that was so close. Just 2 more layers is all they needed.
I mean, but when your line of scrimmage is so far forward, you can consistently find these block breaks, these first downs, right? Like, you're just funneling player after player, right? IHSEN is like consistently here, right? Playing hooky. So you can have this top approach. So you can have this TNT drop that I said this bridge was bad for potentially offering up as a solution to your bed defense. And look at this. The TNT kills, but you have a player deposited in your bed to keep the defense alive. What is going on?
This is crazy work by IHSEN, by the way. That was, you took out two, you're now sprinting for your own home. You are finally knocked out. And I mean, Spartans with a very strong defense, but I mean, William Henry with their aggression made a very large dent in the block. Take a look at that. Wood only left with the waters. There's a little bit of a break I saw there. I don't think that was anyone on the side of William Henry. During this entire time, though, I'm so curious what Fairfield is. I saw one of the players, unfortunately, fall out of the world, so I have no idea what's going on with Fairfield. That entire time, what were they doing?
Getting buff.
Yeah.
Diamond armor for Byzantine Wolf. We've seen them lead some charges here. And unfortunately, I talked about this last time, how Bed Wars is sometimes a little bit of RNG, right? Like, if Byzantine Wolf, if you'd been staring at the red island when 3 of them were over towards yellow, would have been a very easy job. But when you're setting your sights on that island, now there's the defenders back, it would be a lot harder to stake your claim. And speaking of staking your claim, Fairfield here is saying that they are not going to lose their bed in these last 5 minutes. They've taken the red approach with a little outfitted wall, TNT proof and all, little glass toppers, and I mean, the side a little vulnerable, but still, it's gonna be red versus yellow, I think, to determine who could get the first points on the board.
I mean, we're still waiting for that. It's such a question here, as that's a huge shot right now. The Spartans are doing so well in maintaining, and this is a stalwart defensive end. Arrows raining down, though. They got one on top, so William Henry, there's an option, though, and we are watching on this side. Have Fairfield finally seen it? They should have seen that aggression. They should hear that aggression as well. With all of those kills, I think the kills are coming in a little bit too quickly. And they do have Hellfire here to go ahead and hold steady. So William Henry, they are not forgetting about Fairfield. I appreciate that a lot. But William Henry are showing that they are a dominant, aggressive force here, getting multiple kills onto the side of the Spartans here. Just not much else to show for it.
And I love this just like top defense that you talked about it. IHSEN's just been building up. And Yellow's trying to challenge it, but you can't take too much attention away from the bed itself. So Iguana up here taking the duel. And unfortunately, they are going to win it here. That prot, that sharpness, not enough. But for Complexion, it is to able to find the finishing touch. You saw that player, though, in the bed either defending or making repairs. And this TNT, again, they just replaced the blocks, and it's not making much of a dent. With a little under 4 minutes to go here, they're going to have to speed up if they want this bed break.
That's a jump down. That's a quick punt off, and you got one. Do you have a little bit more? That's a huge knockback, though, on the other end. And now the water's breaking out. Quick election. You're doing your work as much as possible, but it's a 2-on-1 action here, and I don't think you're going to win. You're running for your life, but you go down as well. Hard sprint in from another William Henry member as everyone is trying to get into the mix. It's a quick tower up. No extra, though, as in comes Fairfield. Fairfield with the quad TNT breaks open the entirety of the Spartan side. The most aggressive move I've seen out of a single player. Rexy, a salute to you.
Oh my goodness. That's what they were saving all the resources for, but they're not done just yet. I talked about what happens when you are the mid player. They ender pearled in for another piece of TNT, but again, this water, it deflects any damage. And what I want to see from one of these teams is block the water source, spam your wall. You can break it later on with the TNT, but when water is in the way, you are not going to get any deeper into this bed defense. And I mean, if we didn't get to see the repercussions of being the center island early in this game, we are definitely seeing it here sub 3 minutes, right? Look.
Yep.
All right, the truce is over, apparently.
Yeah. I feel like William Henry are like, okay, Fairfield, you're going to do this. You better be ready for your own base that has some problems.
Oh my goodness,
they're going
look at
on a full
this.
offensive. Great punt up, but a great save down on the lower end, and maybe you don't see it. Arrows now flying out. William Henry trying to throw down an assault. Last 2.5 minutes has more action than the first 18 out of this world. As that's going to be a quick fight, and Sonic goes down. Sonic was lost. They're going to dig. 3 digging. William Henry. They turn their sights on the sheep. That was off on the side, and when the sheep tries to fight back, the wolf bares its fangs. That is going to be a bed break for William Henry as they earn 5 points, and now the slaughters will commence. Byzantine Wolf unfortunately loses one. That is now 6 points to William Henry total as Fairfield now try and keep themselves alive.
Wow, and look at this. Red not wanting the Spartans to clean up any of their lunch. They're trying to come back. They don't want any leftovers. They want all the points to go their way. They want the clean 9. And I love this, just playing survival here. Because again, this is something a new rule as well. As I talk about it, yellow on the board. That's Derpy Derp PvP, ensuring that NNHS is not going to go into last place, tied with Fairfield here. Fairfield look like they're going to have the possibility to get any points here. I did see one make a mad dash for the Diamond Island. Not sure what their fate was. They take refuge on the Blue Island. I like this. You have your own generator. You're fine. Set up a new life.
Set up a new life with the 1 minute left. Yeah.
Oh no. Wait, Henry Harrison though. They're coming from all directions. No. Carrot.
Good fireball. Oh no, poor Carrot. Carrot
you can't
eaten up
PvP
for
with
breakfast.
the gapple out.
You tried. All right, so that is a grand total of 7, I believe, to William Henry. There's one more alive on the Fairfield side, but I love the new rules. The new rules are showing that the teams understand where the focus is going to be. As soon as that bed was broken, how quickly both William Henry and the Spartans turned on Fairfield, it brings that understanding of where are the points going to come to. But even though we talked about Fairfield, look at the damage and the chaos that has been directed here against the Spartans. This was William Henry going on an absolute tear.
And I think my only thing to point out here is that the last green player is still, I think, inside the Fairfield bed. Because another new points addition to this game as the timer expires is that if you accidentally or purposely self-eliminate yourself, aka you fall off the map with no other outside force, that's -1 point. So even if it's an accident, right, that costs your team. So you want to stay alive at all costs unless you're taking a duel. And I think that's exactly why we saw green play as they did, right? They played carefully. They play like to stay alive or to, you know, try and circumvent the other team's earning points, and it just unfortunately did not work. But I gotta talk about how fast the tides changed, right? We talked about how red and green were ganging up on the Spartans, and then suddenly once they realized, okay, wait, green used all of their resources on this TNT rush, on diamond armor, on ender pearls. They probably don't have obsidian, and they completely 180'd to Fairfield and recognized that they were a weaker force that they could overcome, and that's exactly what they did with less than 2 minutes left, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't even that. It was like, it was straight up just a 1 team versus 1 team. Fairfield tried to like arm their way in, and I feel like William Henry literally turned around, just bopped him on the back of the head and was like, no, you don't get to do that. It is a little bit terrifying how quickly a game can shift, and I think I give a lot of credit and respect over to William Henry for recognizing that factor. As you mentioned, it was a huge rush. They lost a lot of their commerce, their utility, and they got eaten up. So it still highlights the fact that in these bed wars, defensive play is important. The gamble swing that Fairfield took didn't work out this time, and you gave 7 points over. But imagine if there wasn't water there, Fairfield may or may not be able to pull that off again and actually break through William Henry.
And I'm so glad you talked about that, because like I'm starting to see again, okay, how structured first off Harrison's the squad from them is from William Henry Harrison. I'm also getting to see, okay, NNHS had some good ideas, and we're also going to see, okay, when the map changes, we're probably not going to see that same bridge approach. We might not even see a waterbed defense, and I think like again that kind of worked against NNHS. But also remember, the team in the center is going to be changing as we get over to our next map as well. So I think it's going to be a chance for, you know, hopefully the gap, the deficit to shrink a little bit for the Spartans to get back on the board when they're under a little less pressure. I also want to highlight Fairfield, because I agree, I liked the attempt, but imagine they went TNT rushing red instead. So having that map awareness, having scouts as you're collecting these emeralds mid, calm back. Okay, look, red is consistently attacking yellow. We probably can find our opening and go for it. And they would have had such an easy bed break with that, probably half a stack of TNT that we saw get dropped in to that island. But aside from that, right now, it's going to be Fairfield playing for catch up. NNHS safe for now, because it's the top 2 teams again that proceed to the quarterfinals, right? You could literally proceed, right, in the entire bracket and win well, not win, probably last map it would matter in the grand finals, but get to the grand finals by winning off of 1 point technically if the third team gets nothing. So again, that's your safety net, and I'm glad to see that we did, as you mentioned, have that. Okay, bed's gone, final kills are up, let's go get those points.
Yep, it's the right idea to go for, and I am curious if that will change in the future. Obviously, the change, as you mentioned, a huge shout out to Indiana Esports Network for always trying to identify and figure out the new way they want to do things and how to make the game more competitive. Of course, on here, they're also always making sure that they give us a chance to have this broadcast. I mean, you and I, Zobi, have been here for quite some time with the IEN, but we love to be able to be here on the desk, and that couldn't be possible without some amazing sponsors, namely one of them being Zotac being awesome for powering today's stream, as Zotac Gaming has been incredible with their support, and we are able to do what we can here on the broadcast because of them, helping to showcase the amazing talent here in the Scholastic esports scene. So if you want to go ahead and show your appreciation for Zotac Gaming, you can do so by giving them a shout out on social media. Make sure to join their community on Discord, and don't forget to use the hashtag powered by Zotac or hashtag Zotac USA whenever you post a crazy clip, a funny moment, or sometimes a silly fail as well. Once again, that is Zotac, as we're heading into game number 2.
And you can also post your bed rituals, which I think is what William Henry Harrison was doing, waiting for the generator to spawn its initial resources. Look at this, though. Red completely ignoring yellow team, going a mad dash without even blocks placed against the Fairfield Island. Not like this. You're going to keep them at the bottom. Look at that. It's not the thing to do. Frantically placing blocks. There's still one opening. And find it. Just like that. Fairfield out yet again. This time, at least, no players falling except for one. There it is. Another point towards William Henry Harrison. Wait, Red's bed in the meantime, though, was destroyed by yellow. This is how quick a game can go from maxing out the timer to 2 teams, I think, eliminated. Wait, I might be. No, yeah, 2 teams eliminated. Yeah. William Henry Harrison's the only one with the bed.
They're chilling. They're chilling. William Henry Harrison saw the sprint. They saw the sprint from the Spartans and took advantage. This is what we were talking about. This is what Fairfield, I think, should have done from the previous game, right? You take a look, you see where the sprints go, and this is the benefit of seeing that middle island. We were wondering what William Henry Harrison were going to do. They identified, they saw, hey, we see a sprint from the Spartans. Cool, let's divert, swing on the outside of the middle island, and I think if I'm correct, this is Savoy. This is the perfect island to do it. It's the shortest one. It's the smallest one, it feels like.
Yeah, this is, in fact, Savoy, and we talked about how fast you can get to these islands, and that is definitely true. And I mean, the red players, I like this, grouping up, trying to, play for a few more points. I mean, at this point, Fairfield's the one that, has to play catch up here, right? You're looking to gather resources, buff up a little bit, maybe go for a final grandstand bed break against William Henry Harrison. But I'm not surprised that it's William Henry Harrison that had that awareness, right? We talked about how, well thought out their attack was, and how war of attrition style it was against the Spartans last map, and I just feel bad for Fairfield here. They didn't even get a chance to battle back. And I'm not gonna lie, that's what I think yellow team needed to do here, right? They were the center one on this map, right? And now that you're the last one with the bed, now that you've basically confirmed a lead here, NNHS cannot catch up to you, right? Unless they break your bed. And so this is such a smart play. This is when, okay, you've done your fireworks play, now you can turtle, kind of. And it's acceptable with quotation marks.
Oh no, here's the deal. They're not even just turtling. I'm going to read, I would say 5 minutes into the future here, and correct me if I'm wrong. 2 beds are already broken, meaning both NNHS and Fairfield are sitting points right now. They are sitting points. William Henry always have a spawn. 3 left on both NNHS and Fairfield, meaning William Henry aren't just turtling. They are conserving their resources so they can go on a hunt and get 6 more points. This is why Fairfield are going to go ahead and try and tuck themselves in as well and try and use the red blocks to get a little bit further away. But William Henry, they can take the next 12 minutes.
I mean, okay, Fairfield, I understand where they're coming from with this strategy. Number 1, if you accidentally fall off, that's negative points to you. Number 2, I mean, at this point, I don't think denying either of these teams the 3 points the final kills will award you is enough to make a comeback to not get eliminated here from the playoffs, right? Like, I think you need to do what Red is doing. Get ready, stay in the fight, and get ready to go for an all-out brawl against the opposition. Because that's how you're going to get some points on the board, is if you go down fighting, and like, okay, let's say you're fighting William Henry Harrison, right? They get to 16, okay? You get a bed break, that's 5-7 against NNHS, right? And then suddenly, map 3, you can make a comeback. Versus going into your next map, 0 points on the board, it's going to be insanely difficult. You will need a near-perfect game, it feels like, to avoid elimination.
I can agree with that one. I can sit here and agree on that one. That you know, you're kind of just leaving yourself to the fray at this point, and Fairfield is just going to try and play spoiler for whoever gets first and second, really, at the end of the day. So right now, you can see here, sprint forward. They were able to gather some equipment, but nothing crazy. And now it's a loot and run. I love this call by the side of the Spartans. Hey, we don't have to play it on the bed.
All right. And here we go. I mean, NNHS, I said they were sieging up for a grandiose play, and it seems like they thought about it. They gappled up, and then they canceled. Not quite sure what scared them away. It's a singular wool block. They've moved their line of scrimmage. They've staked their claim. The turf war ensues. Jeepers moment, just staring at it. They don't destroy it. The symbol remains.
I love that. It was.
Wait
it
a
was
minute. Wait, look.
Oh, was that the was that like the oh no.
Wait, okay, that should count as a yellow elimination though in my mind. I'm not gonna lie to you. That should not count as a -1 point. We'll have to see. We'll get a ruling on that personally.
Hey,
but
that's a point. That's a point and a half right there, and then a point right back. So William Henry able to secure 14 total. NNHS were able to lose one and gain one, I think, from the point system. And of course, on the top ropes, we have the arrows out and available. Fairfield just gonna try and fight their best. They have 3 alive still, but for the Spartans, they are down to just 1 player.
yeah, I liked the idea. Okay, so it went from the Spartans being like, okay, we're gonna attack yellow William Henry Harrison. We're gonna try to get their bed to, okay, wait, let's look for the final kills instead against Fairfield. That's easier pickings. And as soon as they went there, again, the awareness from William Henry Harrison combats head on with the singular Fairfield person who's not boxed in here, right? To send up fireballs, send arrows, and that's exactly what happens as a result. And all right. Aside from that, I guess we also didn't take into account that Fairfield, by staying alive, is also preventing the 3 extra points for William Henry Harrison. But still, I think, in my mind, you needed additional as the final player falls to William Henry Harrison. They'll get to 15. I think it still requires, like, you catching up to the Spartans, not catching up to William Henry Harrison, if that makes sense.
Yep, it's a tough point. Now, granted, I'm sure William Henry, they are going to have a field day here. Once they finish up the base, they're going to go ahead and probably take a hard sprint at Fairfield, because they have to understand they haven't seen Fairfield out in the center or in the other side island so far. They have to assume that Fairfield are currently like locked up inside of their own island. That's about it. So assumptions around, you could easily take what you want and just go sprint at them. Like, you have 12 minutes to do whatever you want to gather those last 3 points, plus 3 on top, by the way. Oh, well, you can actually see them. Never mind. That's perfect. You already have this kind of lock in place, because if Fairfield are fully out, you get an extra 3 points for being the last team alive. So William Henry Harrison have a possibility of reaching 21 points right now.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, right, with Fairfield going for the full turtle method, yes, get some resources from your own generator. William Henry Harrison has full access to 3 generators, the diamond generators, the diamond ones. They're just going to be buffing up so that they can kind of do what they did against Red, which is this consistent berating. Because again, they have infinite respawn. Fairfield doesn't. And what I'm going to look towards Fairfield for is, okay, look for an opening, sneak through maybe, and figure out a way to get to the Yellow Island undetected as they do their arts and crafts, as they build their... They've definitely upgraded from the single glass pillar, I think, to these... kind of bow towers. Now these have strategic advantage, all right? Ladders up so your bows can get posted, you know? And there you go.
Yeah, so that's Hellfire just kind of going off on their own and looking for a punch. Yeah, you even have the Ender Pearls to go ahead and head on up. So I like this. Yeah, as we mentioned, just go have a blast. Go chill out. You see where the last 2 pretty much are. You saw some arrows come down, and any sharp eye could kind of tell that there are two more kind of running around. So I feel like they're going to have a little bit of freedom to mess around here. Fairfield, they're just trying to play hardball. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think the 2 things here is One, the player that did go to the generator got punished. Number two, I thought I was gonna say that the rebound. That's beautiful. They're just like, no, this is our tower. I was gonna say maybe they couldn't spot it because it blended in with the architecture, but no, they realized they're trying to get them down. They're burning their tower down. Can you put out the fire? Are you firefighters? It doesn't seem to be so. It cannot be contained. It's spreading, and their defenses are gonna start to fall. Oh, this is getting dangerous already.
They're running. You can see one hiding around the corner.
Look.
I love that. They're just like, please no.
They can't
Please
put it
not
out.
me." Oh, no, it's getting even worse. Oh no, it
That's
got
what I'm
way
telling
worse.
you. And it's a distraction as they try to put the fire around. Hellfire, who brought the fire to them, is making a side bridge, and they realize they've lost the height advantage. Oh, but they have the bow. Oh no. Easy fix.
That was funny. That was actually really funny. Hellfire just looked, and Fairfield was like, no, not this way. We are not going to deal with this. But still, 16 points for William Henry. I think at this point you can safely assume that Fairfield aren't going to come out. You could easily just push. You don't have to worry about your whole defense.
Yeah.
What is that?
Among Us. Sus.
I love it.
Bro, this is high school, not middle school. I'm joking.
Jeez.
But I think, like, you talked about, okay, you can leave the island. I would leave one person here, right? You never know if one of the Fairfield members has, like, an ender pearl in their back pocket. Like, and I would say leave one there, 3 players go, and if you see someone ender pearl, like, have somebody jump off the map, right, to get back to your team to fight with them. But again, I think the one player assaults are not going to work. They have bows. I mean, you can question, okay, how many arrows do they have? But 9 minutes, and like, I don't know if you're going to get all of those out in time.
I think we're going to try and check and see what they have in their inventories a little bit. If we can find out what they have, that'll be pretty nice to have. But for right now, it's nothing crazy. Go ahead and see the Emerald generators fully cleared out yet again. Very, very safe transportation levels as well. And this is what we mentioned. For William Henry, you can take the last...
Age for Henry Harrison.
Yeah. You can take the last 5 minutes after you collected all your resources, after you kind of bulked up in the weaponry, and just go hunt those last 2. Fairfield, they are sitting 2 points and a possible 3 extra behind. So 5 points possible for William Henry Harrison to collect here to end out this game number 2.
I'm trying to think. If they get the full 5 points to 21, right? That would be then 10-18, I think, is what a perfect game would give you. 5 for each bed break is 10. Actually, 18, so it'd be 21, right? So Fairfield could tie William Henry Harrison. But that would require a perfect game without the Spartans interfering, right?
Yep.
So the odds of that very low. William Henry Harrison basically guaranteeing, oh no. Oh no. Okay, they got knocked out. That's fine. I thought they were about to get a -1 point because I did not see Hellfire knock them off.
No,
but that's
that was
another
good run-up.
point. Oh, they're not going to make us sit here for the last 8 minutes. The last player located. Fireballs are raining down. And of course, Hellfire wants the ace, wants to finish the job for the 18th and the 21st from the IHSEN pure win. Fireball, yeah! In the chat.
There
Look
it
at
is. GG's all around. And William Henry Harrison, 21, as we mentioned, very, very strong play, and I don't see them stopping anytime soon. Zobi, that was phenomenal.
No, for sure. And again, I mean, it's not over at all for the side of Fairfield. You want to know why? Because that one player that fell off the map accidentally, right, cost NNHS a point. So now it's 1 bed break and 1 final kill, and you are tied with them. And that is so feasible here for Fairfield. If they can get exactly what happened in the first 30 seconds of the game here on map 3 of Riptide. And I will say it's a little bit more difficult on this map. It's the pirate ships, the pirate wheels that we're heading on over to, and a little bit further, and you'll see teams maybe bridge to the skulls and then to the center island, so that's less direct access routes. But I'm curious to see that if Fairfield's gonna take that offensive, because we haven't really seen them take that initiative, minus the kamikaze stunt with half a stack of TNT as they fell off the map last time. And I'm hoping that we get to see a new light from them.
Yeah, I think we will. Fairfield understand now they can play pretty much without reserve. Again, this is one of those moments where you should play reserve. Obviously, as you mentioned, there is a way to come back, but at the same time, you can't be scared. about going forward. You can't be scared about either defending or anything like that. You have to be willing to kind of step up to the plate and fight it out as much as possible. And with that in mind, we really do want to give those opportunities to those Scholastic players and to those competitors out there as well. And maybe not just to those here today, because we do want to talk about another amazing sponsor out there, LandFest, who LandFest, for what they've been doing, have been building healthy communities through gaming with 23 chapters across 18 states and over 150 events a year, not just in schools, but I mean, if you're getting out there having fun at events, just want to get out and out of your own house or anything like that, go ahead and check them out. You can go to landfest.com to check out if there are any events coming towards your space as well. You know, not just Minecraft Bed Wars. You can look at Valorant, you can look probably at like League of Legends, Rocket League. I know they have a very healthy community there as well. So many different games if, you know, Minecraft is not exactly your style.
New games are popping up every day. No, next season we'll probably have Marvel Rivals. Who knows? But aside from that, heading into map 3, there's one thing that we have glanced over here, Orbital. I think Fairfield is the center team. I think William Henry Harrison was the center team on the last map, and they completely knocked it out of the park by getting ahead of the curve early on with that assault towards Fairfield. Or I should say they responded, they counter-assaulted NNHS while they went for the island of Fairfield. Either way, basically before that could prove a disadvantage, they blew up the game. And so I'm nervous for Fairfield, where now they have not just the points, but the situation working against them. It's gonna be Fairfield on red, it's gonna be the Spartans on green, and it's gonna be William Henry Harrison reprising their role on yellow here. Whew. All right. My eyes are gonna be glued to Fairfield, right? And the Spartans, because again, William Henry Harrison, I'm gonna say you've cemented your spot moving forward in the quarterfinals. Now prove me wrong. It'll be an insane match if that happens. But Spartans and Fairfield, it's gonna be like make or break between those two, and William Henry Harrison's just here to play spoiler.
Yep. I mean, do we get to see William Henry Harrison actually go aggressive here? Do we see them get over aggressive like they did? Like we saw the likes of the Spartans do last time. That's what I'm curious about, because Spartans kicked it off pretty much minute 1, right? William Henry Harrison, they can get aggressive, and they know they're not going to lose too much, in my opinion. Like, even if you go full force at someone else, I don't think they're going to be too scared that they leave themselves open. But you could, but do you even take that risk? Do you sit there and go, hey, we have enough points, we don't care, we're probably making it in anyway, let's go have fun with this?
No, for sure. And I do think that they're going to have more fun. I mean, you saw it, right? They had their school pride, they had the H in the center, they had Little Among Us style, they had their tower, their castle, showing how they are right now, the kings of these maps. But we're headed over to the pirate ships. We'll see if they're also the king of the seas in this next and final map. We're speeding through after we are spared kind of half the map on the second one. I thought first thing we were going to sit there for the 12 minutes as they tried to get the final Fairfield players, and Hellfire rained down and made that a moot possibility. So since we do have another second as well, I believe you mentioned earlier, Orbital, the ability to kind of showcase these amazing talents, these amazing players through these games, and League OS Portal is doing that for us. It allows us to organize these tournaments that Indiana Esports Network is hosting. It also allows students to manage their own prospect profiles, where all of their stats can automatically update match over match, where they can see scholarship opportunities, they can see tournaments. Even if you are a coach, if you're broadcast talent, there's opportunities on League OS Portal for you. And best of all, it's free. So don't miss your chance to get discovered, to get involved in esports at your schools. We talked about how it's growing. You can visit portal.leagueos.gg today and take your game to the next level.
Go ahead, check them out, and especially for the high scores
timing.
Ooh, perfect timing. Oh, Zoba, you have a knack for that one, and it is amazing to say the least. We go ahead and take a look here. It is going to be the Spartans in green this time, so let's check them out. The ship is ready to be built out, and we are going to see William Henry go ahead and take the comfortable approach. As per usual, you go ahead and just store things up. You get the basics out and about, and then you look to hammer in.
And I will say for this island, two things. One, if we throw back to map 1, William Henry Harrison loved using the verticality that the Spartans built out on their own island for them to to utilize. Fairfield not off to a great start. And I think this map takes it to a whole new level. The sails, the bow of the ship, all of it. Your generator being beside your bed instead of strictly in front of it. Like, this feels like it's going to be William Henry Harrison's playground. But speaking of playgrounds, NNHS looking to get out of the gate early, solidify their place in the quarterfinals before William Henry Harrison can play spoiler. And look at this as they weave towards the red island. William Henry Harrison's making a mad dash towards green because you have 3 players away from your base. Hopefully you're calming it to the solo defender. Your bed's not even covered. What is this? Then they get knocked off.
Oh no. No, not like this. Not like this. Destruction. Absolute decimation.
Oh, no.
As Spartans also lose more points.
They're going to lose 2. They're going to go down to 4. And this is like their last... For Fairfield it is.
Yeah, this is doable. And it really is going to be up to William Henry Harrison. If they opt for this, that's going to be a sprint. One was let through. But is anyone else there? Oh, they're absolutely there. But Quebelection has to be aware this is going on.
No.
Breaks through. It's seen. It's open. You chase on it. Do you break it in time? No, you can't stop down in time. Do you get it? You almost do. It's not broken. William Henry Harrison survived the onslaught as well.
Oh my goodness. And NNHS get ahead of themselves. The Spartans too eager, Beaver. And speaking of eager, I talked about William Henry Harrison playing spoiler. They are doing it for both teams. Spartans wiped off, cannot earn any points. In fact, they're negative for this map. They're going to lose 2 points from the players that fell off the map. And now, Absinthe, who was insane in the last time they went against this squad, trying to bring down Fairfield single-handed. I talked about how they are a master of the verticality. We saw them do this exact play. Oh, master of verticality, not master of the void,
about Masters? What was that about Masters?
The verticality, you know, not the void. There's a difference. Oh, but look at this. Red using the island instead to get a quick emerald. A quick diamond generator. This is just... That was... I don't know which is more explosive, the last map or that one.
I would say the last one. Keep in mind the last one saw 2 beds being broken almost immediately. Yes. I would have to say the last one, but this one was more calmly calculated. The stakes were high. This one as well, I think it was just you watched the Spartans make a move and you directly saw the moment that William Henry Harrison were like, we will counter your move. Last time was out of the blue. It felt like it was opportunistic. Yeah. It was a chance. This one felt more methodical. And it was just unfortunate for the side of the Spartans. For Fairfield, though, I mean, you got to find something. This is going to be a rough next, like, maybe 5-10 minutes. I feel William and Henry are going to be more than happy to chase.
I completely agree. It was like desperation met calculation. And you saw the Spartans hesitate for a second as well, right? They eyed the William Henry Harrison players like, are you going for our bed? And Harrison was like, yes, we are. And NHSS just couldn't pivot in time. And now you mentioned how hard it is for Fairfield because the only points left because it was a full sweep from William Henry Harrison is via William Henry Harrison. So actually, is there a world where the NNHS players falling off was strategic? Yes, they lose points, right? But to get 5 points, Fairfield has to break the bed for William Henry Harrison, right? There's no like, oh, if we get 4 final kills, you know, if the other opposition, like, that took every variable out. They're trusting in William Henry Harrison here to carry them into the quarterfinals.
that is fair. I could see it. It's definitely still playing the point field, I think.
Yeah.
Is it great? I mean, I think the odds were difficult either way, in my opinion. So I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it is an option, as that is going to be a fall real quick. This is going to be a leap down and a quick punt off, and that is a lot of resources lost. And Abysthene saying, let's go. Arrow miss number 1. Multiple arrows as Abysthene is like, okay, I don't want to deal with this one just yet. Go ahead and wait. Dance back. Dance onto your own platform, and go ahead and parkour.
Are they distracting? Is there a player, like, behind the bed or on the side island or something? Because that's what this feels like. Okay, I see one on the. I see 2 on the diamond generator. I see the one there. There's probably 1 defending.
Oh.
So yeah, this was just a distraction. And here they go. Ooh, Absinthe need to go in at the same time as their yellow players because now they've been pieced apart. Now they're left maybe to clean up the scraps. Gapple, go for the dive. The 1v3. Arrow spam support coming through. I think they're just buying time. Yeah, they've rallied the troops. They're going in.
All right, here they go. It's a 2v3. A lot of damage going on Jeepers, but Jeepers is winning. Jeepers is winning by a mile, able to get another one. IHSEN needs to go ahead and try and break through this class as quick as possible. Is another teammate coming in? I have a feeling so. IHSEN is actually just causing chaos. Knocks out a bunch of econ and then swings right back out.
I think they collected like some diamonds and other resources that they want to hold on to there from the corpses of the Fairfield members. But also what you're doing is you're delaying this bed defense from getting completed. Do you notice how there's not full glass just yet? So I'm hoping that that was communicated and that William Henry Harrison, the next payload coming in, is going to be TNT ready and fireballs as well. Like, Wool is vulnerable to that. Catch the bed defense on fire. Let it burn like we saw when Fairfield was holed up last map over on Savoy. I mean, let's see how William Henry Harrison can take calculations to the next level so that they can wrap this match up with a bow.
I would have to agree with that one. This time it's a 3-man fight here. Good breaks to come out here. Once again, Rexy knocked out of this world, and there's not many resources play. That's going to be 2 set up here. Take a look. IHSEN still waiting. And remember, they leaped in when everyone caused a little bit of chaos. That burn is not actually spreading, so this is going to be fine play here. And remember what we talked about on Riptide? Some of these high points can be played for. It's a full-on assault. Take a look at this.
Oh, my goodness.
For William Henry Harrison are saying,
and
we are going to end this game one way or another, and you will not be able to stop us. 4-on-4 action galore. Game 3. Let's go. Damn, IHSEN goes straight for the bed. BSN is trying their best, but I don't think it's going to work. Slaying around the field, though, as it is going to be William Henry Harrison to win those battles, and it is going to be the bed broken. William Henry Harrison take the bed, take 2, and are about to take a third. Queb election, the one to stick around for a time, has found a third.
Their fist out.
And Sonic is the last one alive. There is no chance. There is no glory for them. It is William Henry Harrison with the clean sweep.
And if I've seen a contender to win it all here early, it is William Henry Harrison, showing how seeding into the playoffs may not matter when it comes to potential dominance. Like, that was near perfection. Like I said, the only risk they really took was when they were consistently fighting the Spartans on map 1, but Fairfield never recognized that weakness. We'll see if moving forward anyone can exploit it, but for now, William Henry Harrison dominant. Spartans dodge a bullet and advance alongside them as Fairfield faces elimination. And it's so hard to call it an MVP on the Harrison squad, right? You have IHSEN, who was the consistent distraction, right, on map number 1 and map number 3. You had Hellfire, who was like clean sweeping the rest of the points of the Fairfield squad on the last map. This squad is truly well-rounded.
You saw it at the end. 42 points total for 3 games is a crazy number, and considering how quiet game 1 went, the fact that we racked up, I'm pretty sure at least like an average of maybe 15 to 17 points per game for them was insane. It just popped off way too fast in my opinion, but I love it. As you said, this squad feels like they could be that namesake group to really make it all the way in the championship.
And you know what's so sad is that they were denied a perfect game because 2 players fell off the map.
True.
They could have had it perfect. But like, then again as well, like, I don't think you're going to have a full, like, 3-team bracket in your run. If I remember correctly, it's like there's like a 4 mixed in there somewhere. And so you'll also have to account for, okay, this was 3 teams. 4 teams is a completely different ball game, because then there's like 2 maps where you don't have to worry as much. And again, we talked about maybe the one weakness we saw was them leaving their island a little bit too undefended at times. But even then, we talked about and we saw the calculation that they are going through. And I'm excited to actually see that kind of structure from these teams, because I felt like that was lacking at times in the group stage. And I was like, I want it, please. That's when Bed Wars is at its best. And we actually got to see it out of the squad.
Oh yeah, they look great, and I'm also excited because we did get to see a little bit of the aggression out of Fairfield as well as the Spartans. Spartans, I give a lot of credit, because as soon as game 1 ended, they realized things were going to go wrong and they need to find advantage somewhere. Game 2, they came out the gate, they fought as hard as they could, so you saw the spark in their eyes. A little bit untempered, and I think it's unlucky that they went up against William Henry Harrison. They got dealt a rough card, and they did the best that they could at that time. So huge heads up for them. Fairfield, unfortunately, is gone. They tried their hardest as well, but when you go up against Titans like this, sometimes it's near insurmountable.
Yes. And I mean, what a day, what a day. So again, to recap, William Henry Harrison and NNHS Minecraft Varsity, or the Spartans, will be moving on to the quarterfinals. I can also hit a quick refresh, and we might get to see some of the other teams that are moving on here. I do see Norwell seems to have gotten a bye, I think, because they were your first seed, but all the other games still going on. So you have to check out again League OS, one of our sponsors, and the bracket that they are hosting for us to see who advances and will be featured next week, I believe, when Bed Wars returns for the quarterfinals. But aside from that, it's been a pleasure covering this with you, Orbital, and shout out to our other two sponsors as well, Zotac and LANFest, who have made all of this broadcast, this experience, this tournament possible. They even get a LAN later in April. Like, we're talking about Scholastic Esports getting one of the biggest LANs. Like, that is crazy. But aside from that, I do believe our next stream is going to be on Monday, so everyone gets to take the weekend off and come back at 5 p.m. EST for some Valorant action. That's our game, Orbital. I wish you were commentating it. But with that, any last words, Orbital, for the stream?
No, I think, again, I love the rule changes, but we're seeing that level of aggression come out, and we're seeing the adaptability of the players. Keep grinding hard, keep fighting hard in those Bed Wars, because I loved every single moment of it.
And with that, everybody, have a good night.